Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I'm your host, DPalm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire network on Twitter at the MTR Network. You found us, don't lose us. Subscribe in the iTunes Store. Subscribe in Stitcher. Anywhere you found this podcast, make sure you don't lose this podcast. Leave that 5-star review in iTunes. We will read it on the air. I'll read it no matter what you say about me or my teams. I'll be forced to read it on the air because that's how the world works. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Late May, early June is like my little window where I can take a little bit of a little less content. Chris and I were winding down on Super Tuesdays. Summer's going to kick in. I can have a little fun on the podcast. So this is about my period where I was like, I can coast until the finals are set, and then I'll just come in and drop hot takes on these finals. And then the NFL said, no, DPalm. What if we bent over for Donald Trump on the eve of him failing to have a North Korea summit? And I said, NFL, please don't. And they said, too late, it's already happened. And I wanted to talk about this last night. Real life gets in the way. Actual physical, physical reactions of anger get in the way. And I was happily forced to go to the bench and pull in a second ahead to talk about this. You know him on Twitter, at Nata the Scribe, friend of the show, Konata Edwards. I'm not going to tell people what you do because you've got too many jobs, man.
Man, look, I like, there's a part of me that is Jamaican, so therefore I have all these hats that I wear. So Dime Up Rocks I write for. I write for Creative Loafing. Locked On Hornets I contribute. In fact, there's going to be some new stuff out for that tomorrow that I'm contributing to. And there's going to be a new column for Dime Magazine where I'm going to basically take the WNBA coverage and we're going to take it to another level and explain why you should care.
That's exciting. I want someone to explain why I should care because as a basketball fan, I find women's college basketball more intriguing than men's college basketball. But at the same time, I find the women's program completely unintriguing. So if you're going to be my window into it, I'm here for it. I'll be the first to admit, maybe it's ingrained misogyny, maybe it's just, the way I grew up, need to shake some shit. But the WNBA cannot hold my focus. So I'm excited for you to try to make me.
Look, let me put it this way. If I told you that probably a top 5 basketball player, bar none, is playing right now, and I'm just talking about Maya Moore. And Maya Moore does not get the coverage that she deserves, considering what she has already. She's got 3 rings, 3 WNBA titles, 3 college titles. We're talking about 2 gold medals. Think about what she's accomplished. And the fact that she's not getting discussed with Serena, not getting discussed with LeBron, not getting discussed with the people of her contemporaries is absolutely disgusting. And again, small little preview for those on this podcast. That's who I'm going to be talking about because, again, she's one of the greatest basketball players, men or women, that we have ever seen, and we do not talk about her nearly enough.
All right, there you go. Free plug, free preview. Make sure you follow Konata Edwards, like I said, Nata the Scribe on Twitter. But sadly, we're not here to talk about the WNBA. We're not here to talk about the NBA. We're not even here to talk about the WWE bilking $1 billion from Fox.
But for SmackDown.
We're not here to talk about it. We're not here to talk about it. What we're here to talk about is this ridiculous, disrespectful, ugly, spiteful, punitive policy put forth by the NFL on Wednesday. And I'm going to open this up by reading the statement from the NFL Commissioner, Roger Goodell. The policy adopted today was approved in concert with the NFL's ongoing commitment to local communities in our country. One that is extraordinary in its scope, resources in alignment with our players. That's very funny. We are dedicated to continuing our collaboration with players to advance the goals of justice and fairness in all corners of our society. I can't read the rest. I can't sit here and lie to the podcast. The gist, if you want to kneel, you're going to catch a fine. If you don't want to kneel, if you do want to kneel, you can do it in the locker room. So I'm not even going to get into my feelings about it originally. You saw this yesterday about the same time as everybody else. Knee jerk, what was your immediate reaction?
My knee-jerk reaction is they basically gave Colin Kaepernick all the evidence they wanted in the collusion case without really thinking about it.
I'm talking about that Sunday. I'm talking about that stuff Sunday from the hearings and things that have come out. That's going to come up a whole other situation. But no, I'm talking about just the singular one. We're coming off of a season where at the end of the season, fewer than 10 players were kneeling. No one was discussing it.
Yeah, no one was discussing it at all, and that was the problem that I had with it.
We've seen evidence that teams have used this to not sign players, Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick, but it wasn't a pressing, growing concern going into 2018 season. Now, as opposed to wondering if Andrew Luck will be healthy for the opener, spoilers, he will not. We're going to be we're going to be seeing who's out and who's not. This seems like
going to be a lot of people.
A failure on every level by the NFL.
And that's the thing that I don't guess. That's the thing I guess I don't get, especially when you have stuff like Seth Wickersham coming out today saying, "Oh yeah, this wasn't even like an official vote. This was informal."
Oh yeah, we will get to as the stories progress over the last 24, 48 hours. But I think it's interesting because you saw the NFL talking heads trying to spin this as a compromise. A compromise is when two parties are both disturbed because they had to meet in the middle. There were no two parties here unless you count the league office and the owners because the Players Association had no seat at the table. Now, I've been very vocal and open about my feelings about the NFLPA. On the same day this came out, a Supreme Court ruling basically said that employees do not have the right to collectively bargain for benefits or take collective action. The scam of America has turned into somehow convincing the workers that they deserve fewer rights than the owners. There was a time in this country where unions were strong, labor and management worked hand in hand because they knew both success benefited both, but more and more the scales have tipped unevenly, and we're seeing it now. The NFLPA wasn't invited. DeMaurice Smith wasn't invited. I've always said openly, and to anyone who listened, I did not agree with his appointment of DeMaurice Smith as head of the NFLPA. I think that the Gene Upshaw Tagliabue era was a different one because they worked hand in hand almost against the owners. But once you saw the financial windfall come through Roger Goodell, those days were long gone. And the person boxed out from this was always going to be the players. It was always going to be DeMaurice Smith. And so when I say that I have a problem with DeMaurice Smith as the head of the NFLPA, it is a bit of false attack because he's been put in a position that I don't think anyone could do anything with.
No, not at all.
Not at all. They've given away the leverage through the Tagliabue and Upshaw years, and the Mueller growth under Roger makes the NFLPA essentially toothless. They essentially have no power, and you're seeing it now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is that they were powerless, and it's just one of those things where it's kind of heartbreaking, but it's kind of at the same time. You just knew that they were going to do something. I mean, I remember when the initial reports were talking about 15-yard penalties for this, and the whole time you're sitting back and laughing, thinking like, yeah, what happens if like one team has the entire team kneel and the other team doesn't, and this, and that, and the third? How are you going to effectively navigate that and create bigger division?
Even before that. And the home of the Braves, she stopped singing, and then the flags come out, and you got to re-sing the anthem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even for logistics of it, like you're going to call an on-the-field penalty for pomp and circumstance beforehand. And let's not forget, this is all this is. This is pomp and circumstance. This is nothing truly symbolic. They don't stop selling beer during the anthem. You can go by to the merch shop, trust me, during an anthem. They don't care if you're standing in the stands during an anthem. I sat in my seat. I remember a couple years ago, I went to a Falcons game and they played the anthem. I sat. I was like, I wish a motherfucker would say something to me. No one said a word. No one. Because deep down, it's never been about the anthem. We'll get to that in a second. I want to read the NFLPA statement that came out because I just skewered them as toothless and gutless and having no leverage. This is what they said. The NFL chose not to consult the union in the development of this new quote-unquote policy. NFL players have shown their patriotism through their social activism, their community service, and support of our military and law enforcement, and yes, through their protests to raise awareness about the issues they care about. The vote by club CEOs today contradicts the statements made to our player leadership by Commissioner Roger Goodell and Chairman of Management Council John Mara about the principles, values, and patriotism of our league. So something that's very interesting about the initial report out of the NFLPA the NFL, was that not only would there be no kneeling, but there'd be no quote-unquote disrespect of the anthem or flag. You've seen one of the assorted Rooneys. I'm not sure which one's left. Came out and said that he views
it's impossible to tell.
he views the holding of the fist up as, or even interlocked arms, as disrespectful. So now we've gone from there is no policy to here's an amorphous policy. They basically catch ruled the
I
anthem.
wouldn't even call that. It's Tuck rule. It's the Tuck rule.
It's ridiculous, is what it is. Like it there is not a leg to stand on here. It's been a failure across the PR board. It's been really funny to watch who is truly a paid NFL shill.
Oh yeah. That's been the best part.
Because these cats have been telling on themselves for the last 2 days. The personal conduct policy is an example of a policy that came into place without the input of the Players Association. This is when, in the last TBA, they gave Goodell all those powers. Anyone who remembers this remembers that the union did file a grievance, and they lost. This is what emboldened the owners to say, oh, we can totally fucking do this. We can roll this out, and they can't do shit about it because we already won this. And honestly, if you tell me that forced patriotism, we'll get into the tragedy in the Oval Office's comments today, or in a few minutes. But I got to ask you, you're a fairly learned man. Our audience is not a dumb one. What does forced patriotism sound like to you?
Oh, it sounds like some country that might have had a summit canceled today. Again, they might have been. I mean, it sounds somewhat similar to that country. I don't know.
It's actually retitled it Aspirational America, because clearly that's what they're going for.
Yeah. I mean,
you're right. This is the thing. People have said for the last 2 years, stick to sports. Keep your politics out of sports. When the sitting president of the United States opines after the passing of this policy, a policy that was very much influenced by his actions and words last year, openly and admittedly by the owners. When he comes out today and says, well, if you don't come out, you should be kicked out of the country. But there are very fine people on both sides of Charlottesville. It's disgusting. It's revolting, and it's so predictable because the NFL, played directly into this idiot's tiny orange Cheeto hands. There was never going to be an answer beyond compulsory standing and saluting. There was never going to be an answer that would satiate this person. Something I found today when doing the research for this podcast, and yes, I hate to admit it, I do research for this podcast, showed a very interesting stat. And the stat was that the punishment or perceived punishment of the player speaking out has had a more detrimental effect on NFL numbers than the actual kneeling. There was a 12.9 point differential in Sunday Night Football this year. You can look at Nielsen data behind the ratings decline, and you'd find that while viewership among older white men and women fell at an 8% clip, the decline among young black men and women was far more dramatic, dropping respectively 16 and 20%. White fans make up the majority of lost viewers because white people make the majority of everything. But the share of non-white fans walking away from the sport more than tripled last year. So this is an easy answer. It's not even a real question. It's more rhetorical. How did we get to a place where the racist money spins more?
Oh, I mean, that's an easy one. I'm just stunned that for all the people that are in that office, they can't seem to do math. That's the crazy part. Like, math is somehow bad and it's not being looked at evenly. Because if I'm hearing 16 to 20% drop in a demographic, I'm panicking.
Immediately, especially when you say it's a young and aging demographic who are not only going to be your base going forward, but they're going to be producing the next generation of fans, which may not come.
Exactly, and especially with a sport that's getting more and more legislated, and more importantly, with more lawsuits coming day by day. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But again, it's not my money.
That's 100% true. It's not our money. We are two guys who talk on podcasts or write columns or yell on the internet about this decision. And nothing we yell or do will change that. But I think it's very interesting because one of my favorite writers and podcast personalities, Mark Bernardin, co-host of the Fat Man on Batman podcast with Kevin Smith, said this on Twitter yesterday. There was such a simple way out of this for the NFL. We stand by our players as they choose to kneel. We encourage an open dialogue about American policing policies because it touches the lives of so many Americans. We're not going to punt. We're going to go for it. Sport has often been a forum for social change, sometimes by design, sometimes by accident. We don't want to just be on the right side of history. We want it to catch up with us because winners want the ball. And if they said that 2 years ago, it's over. All you ever had to do was say, listen to why they're kneeling, say they've got a point, and move the fuck on. Because this now, the 16 and 20% I read off earlier, that's going to increase precipitously. Because it's not a perception of collusion. It's not a perception of punitive action. It is put in black and white and told this is why we are doing this. You're being told that your lives, the lives of your workforce don't matter. And if anything, for the owners, from a strictly fiduciary perspective, you've invested money in these assets. These assets could be snatched from you with no recompense financially for driving a car. The same day this was announced, that night, the arrest video of Sterling Brown from Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Bucks, was released. Have you watched it?
Oh, I watched it. I watched it with my dad. My dad is the type that will watch those videos because somehow he's the type that enjoys the negativity. So now y'all see where I partially get it from. So but the thing is with that is just like I watched it and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, had Sterling Brown's lawyers known that the NFL was going to literally shoot themselves in the foot, they'd have released that shit at noon. They would have just released it right after.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched the video. I've read accounts of the video. We all hit a point, right?
Yeah, no.
The next one?
Yeah.
I'm there. I'll admit I'm there. I can't watch the next one. And I read enough accounts of it, and I got two real big questions here about the Milwaukee police. One, here's how you know it was bad. This isn't even a question, it's an observation. They had the assistant, or I guess the deputy chief in a church Sunday saying, we need you guys' support. These are going to be some bad times. They know how bad that video was.
Yeah.
Now, I've never spent a lot of time in Milwaukee, but I got to ask you. 6'6" nigga, like in Milwaukee, you got to play ball, some kind of ball, right? You could be a Packer.
It's not even that. Like literally, this is the thing that I guess I don't get with this entire video, because for those that have seen the video, this dude parked in a handicap spot in a Walgreens
at 2 a.m. You'll leave a ticket.
Like legitimately, at the furthest this goes is a ticket. I'm sorry, Sterling Brown pays the ticket, and we move on. But to have 6 cops, 6?
Yo, and a man puts his hands in his pocket and then they tase him.
Yeah. And again, with the officers basically escalating the entire thing on camera. And that's what
kills me is that people who say, why are they kneeling? This happens to people who don't have the resources to demand the video. You don't have the resources because you know what Sterling Brown did that night when he played basketball and he had the bruises and they asked him what happened? He said he was personally want to talk about it. What happened was he went to the Bucks and said, this happened to me. Because once that video was released, you had immediate following statements, not just from the coaches, but from the front office and the ownership. Ownership took a front page ad out, I believe, in the local paper.
They did.
And said, this will not stand. This cannot stand. This treatment. And what you have to understand for people who are maybe listening, who may have been sitting in this podcast, who don't say, I still don't get why they're kneeling. Sterling Brown is an NBA basketball player. I am not afforded I don't have leverage to get this video to have an organization that financially helps run the town back me. Nat is connected, but he's not that connected.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like, what happens, what you see, think of the videos you didn't see. John Henson, Milwaukee, last year. And this nigga's 6'11". Like, I'm sorry. If I'm Milwaukee 6'11", y'all should just throw me basketballs. Anyway.
Literally.
He was told, go ahead.
The best thing that they could do, honestly, if you see John Henson and you have something going on, like, look, he's 6'11". Yo, go find a hoop. I'm going to throw this dude an alley-oop and call it a night. That's it.
Yo, but he tried to go to a jewelry store, and they locked the doors and pretended they were closed and called the police because he wanted to come inside. That's not even a ticket. That's a nigga existing. So our lives are in threat for existing. And one league saying, don't talk about it. You can protest, but no one can see you, which I don't even understand if they understand the point of protest.
And not like, and the more, like, the other thing that bugs me about this when we start talking about this is that you think that having players not out there for the anthem for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 weeks, an entire season, you're going to have large pockets of these guys not be out there. Do you really think that's a good look for your league and for someone like Commissioner Goodell, more importantly, that comes out and is judge, jury, and executioner and is Mr. Iron Fist with discipline? Do you think that's going to make him look good, or is that going to make the league look stupid when the dip in viewership goes from 20% for young black men and women to like 40%? Because that's coming.
You want to know the real reason why he did this? Which, by the way, I say he and I make fun of him, but I need you to understand that the words from the President of the United States of America were, you have to stand proudly for the anthem, you shouldn't be playing, you shouldn't be there. Maybe they shouldn't be in the country, the NFL owners did the right thing. That's the President of the United States of America. This is not like I minimize him because he deserves to be minimized because he's a minimalist human fucking being. However, the seat he sits in matters. He's emboldening the rise in attacks. These aggrieved, quote, single white men who are saying that they are the N-word of the 21st century.
That's still the funniest thing I've heard.
Owners and executives admitting that his bullshit influenced them. You know why he drummed this up today? You know why they released this week? Because that North Korea shit was falling apart and because midterms are coming and no one wants to stand next to Trump. But he's given every Republican running this fall a talking point. Every one of them.
Yep.
Because their game isn't to increase their umbrella. Their game is to make the racist angrier, make them mad enough to vote. That's their game. Full stop. It's been their game. Were owners worried about the bottom lines? Sure. Probably. I get it. 10 players, week 17. fewer than 10. I didn't see one kneel in the playoff.
Of course not. Ain't nobody going to bring all that smoke during the playoffs. Nah, no way. No way.
And the thing is, the league is so goddamn weak. They didn't even do any. They didn't even. If you had said the policy is to stand, I'd have been angry, I'd have been frustrated, I'd have been disgusted. At least you would have said something. This, maybe, don't come out, or if you do, don't got to stand. I don't know, you can protest. The fuck? They never ran any of this past the players. And the players who, by and large, as I already covered, were done protesting because we'd watched it get muddled. We watched the message get lost.
And more importantly,
regalvanizing. Yo, he regalvanized. This is the point. He regalvanized both sides so that Republicans will have a wave of something because they can't tout any national accomplishments. They can't tout the stature and strength of the man in the White House. They cannot tout any legislative wins that have helped the American people since 1980.
Yeah.
So this is what they do.
The crazy part about all of this.
They trade an outrage. They know that an angry electorate is an engaged electorate, and that's the only way they'll win things. And it's sad and it's ugly, but it's true. And it's obvious. And it's disgusting. Because now you got politicians saying, there's a Tennessee politician who says that, and I quote, the NFL didn't go far enough. Congratulations, NFL. You created this problem. There is no fix. And now you've seen people, I guess, more and more people are coming out and speaking out and saying things. And more reporting is being done, because now it turns out that the owners never actually voted on the policy. That's why you see majority owners and CEOs coming out and saying, like in the Jets, saying that we'll pay any fines. Jed York abstained from
again, Christopher Johnson. Literally, Chris Johnson, Woody Johnson's son, who, again, Woody Johnson is, I believe, a cabinet member of the Trump administration.
I think he's an ambassador.
Or
is his brother an ambassador? He's an ambassador in the family.
Exactly, but he's an ambassador in the Trump administration, and you're expecting them not to fine anybody when you only got half? Like, everything's going to be run through Woody Johnson, and everybody knows it. And that's the funny thing about it. You had empty statements like that. Jed York couldn't do that. Like, let's be real here. Jed York couldn't say, yes, I'm going to enforce these fines. In San Francisco, dog, they'd have had everybody out there marching and protesting. And it's
that this is a major policy change in the NFL, and they claimed it was a unanimous decision by the owners. But as anyone's in any reporting, they're at least the word out now, based on Seth Wickersham's report from ESPN, is that league executives polled the owners, and knew how they would vote, but did not hold an official tally. They're flying by the seat of their goddamn pants, and they're flying right into disaster, because this is not going to work. You've created more problems. Did you steal some headlines on a slow May Day? Maybe. Was it worth it?
And I doubt it.
We're going to see, because those numbers that you're so scared about, NFL owners, they are going to drop.
Yeah, they were going to drop anyway. That was the funny thing. These numbers are going to drop anyway, because more and more people are cutting the cord. And no one wants to pay for direct ticket. Everyone's either going to go to a bar like they used to do, or they're going to find a way to stream it, or find a way to get around it like everybody else. The thing is that, and this is the thing that bugs me when it comes to the NFL, is if you embrace digital media sooner, if you would follow the NBA's path and just improved on it, you would be in such a better place. And a lot of these numbers are, again, you're being reactionary, and this is what happens when you're reactionary.
I'm not even worried about the numbers. I don't even care about them. I'm talking about more to the point that this was their goal is to goose the numbers by doing this, and it's going to work short term. It will work short term. I'm going to tell you that right now. The numbers will be up for the opening week over last year. That will happen.
Yeah, but it's a 1 week thing. 1 week spike.
It's unsustainable. The anger is unsustainable. Because now it'll be, well, the players in the locker room, they should be kicked out of the country, which is something the president said today, which I cannot stop repeating. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about the NBA. Because I've heard a lot of the cold takers saying the NBA said this policy for years. And I'm not one of those people who will tell you that the NBA is more progressive or forward-thinking or blah, blah, blah. They're not. What they are is star-driven, personality-driven, and individuality-driven. So when you've got a LeBron James and a Chris Paul as the head of the NBA PA and a very strong union in the NBA PA, then guess what? You couldn't do this shit today. You know what happens when the players speak out in the NBA? The league pointedly looks the other way. Remember the I Can't Breathe shirts?
Oh, yeah. I was there when they did. Yeah.
Like, this is
people who want to, Walker did it.
People who want to point to the policy and Abdul Sharif in the 90s, they have a point. They don't have a point in 2010.
They don't have one in the silver era. They don't have one.
I'm going to go as far as say the LeBron era.
Yeah.
Because having that man, and that's the other thing why I think it's so important what LeBron stands for in the NBA is because everyone knows where LeBron stands on these things. He's not quiet. He doesn't bite his tongue, and his Q rating and money goes up. So what he's told the other players in his league is that you can do this. There's less risk. The NFL is so fucking flimsy as far as player rights and as far as guaranteed money and as far as the length of your career. The players feel like they can't afford it. And now what's happening is what happens when the second group of players comes out after the anthem? They're booed and pelted with things. You've created a situation where these people will be targeted. And you're only going to push men so far? Because I've seen NFL players like, I wasn't going to kneel. I'm not coming out for no anthem. You talked about them like animals. You tell them they should be deported. How far before the men push back? I'm not saying there'll be a strike. I'm not saying we're going to see games missed. I'm saying you might see some barren fucking sidelines week 1 when all those eyeballs are turned in.
I would say the first 6 weeks, quite frankly. I would say the first 6.
I would never come out for the anthem again.
Yeah.
Which I didn't do in college, by the way. It wasn't a me thing. It was they played the anthem before it came out. I don't think I ever heard the anthem in one college football game, and I played 40 of them.
You know, the funniest part about all of this, though, is that as a writer, as someone that's had a couple of press passes and gone places and this, that, and the third, ask me how many times I've actually been in my seat by the time the anthem hit.
Fewer
Maybe
than 10.
once or twice. Yeah.
Hell, national title game, I was drinking in the lounge at the Mercedes-Benz Dome when the anthem played. And let's be really real one more time as to why the NFL patriotism and the military are so aligned. Because the NFL gets a check from the Department of Defense every year. It takes you back to why there was a question someone asked once, why does the U.S. military let Michael Bay put their stuff in his movies? And the general who was asked this scoffed and said, he makes the U.S. military look like porn.
Yeah, he does. I still don't forgive him for basically turning Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett into like literally SEAL Team 6 and Bad Boys 2. But that's another topic for another show.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is they're using the NFL to exploit people to make more money. It's so craven and ugly, and like the slightest amount of Googling will fix it. You know what it is, man? I'm gonna be honest. I have that like imposter syndrome sometimes. Where like I'm not as I think I am. I shouldn't be here. But then like I see shit like this, and I'm like, yo, I'm way smarter than a lot of these cats.
Yeah,
because it's the basis, the briefest amount of critical thinking. It takes me back to an old George Carlin quote that I don't know if I've said it on the podcast before. Think of the average American and picture them in your head. Half of them are dumber than that. Yeah. And this is it. This is the final form of idiots in charge.
Yeah.
And congratulations to the Fox News viewers, to Donald Trump and the GOP, because you've created an issue that will allow you to rally people in the fall. However, you might have just killed the NFL. Personally, fuck them, let them die. That's where I'm in with the NFL. People say, are you boycotting? You're not watching? I don't know. Before Wednesday, it's always for me been of course they're fucked up. They're a bunch of corporations. And it's I love football because I do, man. I joke and I talk about, the injuries and things of that nature. I love the sport of football. And this might be it for me. And we'll push forward and we'll think about it. We'll talk about it. And the podcast is going to remain. I think that I'm at my best on this microphone when I'm talking about X's and O's. So that's like cutting my nose off to spite my face. But sometimes your nose got to get cut off. And we'll figure it out. We'll play it by ear from there. But I got to say, man, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking through with me, because yesterday I couldn't be talked to about it. I could not have a rational conversation about it because I still cannot believe what they pulled off.
Dude, quite frankly, this is, again, we brothers, we talk about this stuff. And more importantly, this is why I can't even crack any jokes. Again, we normally have our normal Bobby Heenan Gorilla Monsoon thing. We can't even do that today. This is me being nice for once.
I know. I've really appreciated it.
Dude, no worries, man. No worries. This is, like you said, this is like home to me. Coming back here, sitting back on the couch, drinking the milk, and then I get to leave.
Well, do me a huge favor. Tell everyone where they can find you so they can keep track of all the shit that you produce.
All right. At Nada the Scribe, we are doing stuff with Dime Magazine on Uprocks, maybe a little bit of with Spandex on Uprocks as well. Get into the W. Our weekly WNBA series is going to be coming on Dime Uprocks starting next week. It's going to be fun. I promise we're going to talk about a lot of different things. And more importantly, Locked On Hornets for any of the local Charlotte Hornets, with, again, national Charlotte Hornets fans. I'll be on there every now and again. And there's going to be a lot of content coming out sooner than you think.
There he is, the homie Nata. I'm going to say this for him because he can't say it. Fuck Frank Kaminsky. My name is DPalm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire MTR Network at the MTR Network. We'll be back on Sunday with your hopefully finals preview. But yeah, it's going to be a great summer. And that was your show. This is your outro. See you guys on Sunday.